Moonlight Drive.
Love is a frightful thing. It'll make a bomb of a tyrant king. It'll take your head, put it into a swirl, all because you fell for the siren spell of one little girl. La Dolores Keys, La Dolores Keys. Oh, the pain won't subside.
One default.
One connect.
I mean that. Yeah.
Connect.
Oh, we need. Nice. That. Nice. Connected. One connector.
One stack. Stay one. Choni one.
Last guy, don't know. Jungle. Nice.
Two one.
Wow. Control mid. Okay. I can flash over mid. Flash.
Low.
One shot. Oh shit. CD. I mean.
Bagi.
Oh, timing. Can I have an eagle? Please? Thank you, bro. Love you. Bro, why you buy? No, eco. Is eco wrong, man? What the fuck?
Choose smoke. Không
Okay.
có smoke đâu đó.
5 bomb. Subway. One connect, one subway. Hopper. It's under stairs.
Connect.
Smoke for fire.
Mẹ.
My bad. Nice try. Bye.
Okay, bye.
I can smoke stairs. Wait for them to smoke first.
Ada palet. Oh, what the fuck, man?
One S.
Sure.
One S. Last jungle. Nice, bro. Can you drop AK yellow? Alright, thanks, man.
We must move. Putting down the smoke.
I can flash over mid. Flashing.
Địt con mẹ bắn khẩu lồn ý nhở. Pallet.
Shot. C4.
Tôi. Blue go B.
Đi clear.
Upper up.
Eco, I guess. Sorry, guys.
Fuck by. Next round we don't have money.
Azul gone.
Okay, okay.
Ninja.
Đã lúc nào cầm C4 rồi.
One side. Nice one.
Fuck. Low. Nice.
Don't fight. Oh.
I am planting the bomb. Bomb has been planted.
From side, yeah. Definitely from side. Plan for okay, man. Plan for CT.
Counter-terrorists win.
Cái địt mẹ đéo fake à?
Xin được ăn.
We will take everything from them. Throwing a flashbang.
Nice.
I'm throwing smoke. I'm throwing a flashbang. Throwing fire.
Fuck, jungle over.
Có smoke thì em cái smoke full vào.
I'm flanking jungle.
I am planting the bomb.
Yeah, I think TVS, only TVS.
Còn đây.
Let's go.
Where?
Throwing a flashbang. I'm throwing smoke. Throwing a flashbang.
Oi! Ay. One stairs.
Decoy.
Nice, stairs there. You shot that. One triple box.
Coming.
Lâu.
Gone that. Team plan for market
Pump
is
mình bia,
better.
pump mình.
Fuck.
Bảo pump mình bia.
Plan for you.
Súng ở đa hồi đâu. Nói nắm mở thôi, địt mẹ.
Thì fake cái cho nó ra.
I flash over mid for you. Anyone who wants to beat me. Flash.
Throwing a flashbang.
Oh my god. Eco. What?
Let's go.
A flash on both again.
I'm throwing a flashbang. Throwing flashbang. Throwing flashbang.
There's Molly. Can come.
Bisa.
Under pellet.
He's slow.
Said I smoke city.
Okay, I smoke stars.
Flashbang.
Bro, watch under stairs, fellas. What the fuck?
them from our land. Smoke! Smoke!
Dừng rồi.
Amen.
Go A without flash, just go out.
Someone smoke jungle.
Nothing to stop us. I'm throwing smoke. Smoke! Flashbang. Throwing a flashbang. Flashback. I'm throwing flashbang. Molotov out. Grenade. Throwing fire. Throwing fire. Counter-terrorists win.
Okay.
Looking forward to treats after this one.
Mịt clear. Bi à? Anh nói đéo nghe gì đâu.
B.
Anh
Apps.
Counter-terrorists win.
Damn, we can't hear you, bro.
chẳng nghe anh nói gì cả. Thì chả
This isn't the killing house anymore. This is real life.
Fire in the hole.
thằng G 2 mít này.
Throwing flashbang.
2 mít. Middle.
Yo, fellas, why no one?
Mid.
Tớ đã bị sót vậy đầy.
Two more beside.
One low, go kill him, one low.
Mid. Under.
He's low, kill him.
Mít anh hỏng mẹ rồi.
Yellow, take gun.
Thằng Green kia.
Deploying decoy. Grenade out.
Một là mít đi. One go mít thôi.
Molotov. Throwing flashbang.
Bi à?
Deploying smoke
No.
shield.
Throwing flashbang. Throwing a grenade.
We have
One amen. One amen.
cái bi. À về ấy đi.
Throwing
On the path, one on the path. Nice. KB down, KB.
Connect, under connect. Under pass này. Có. Under pass.
Counter-terrorists win.
Thế để đốt cày.
Let's go.
Incendiary out.
Throwing fire.
Smoking.
Laying down smoke.
Grenade out.
Smoke. Throwing a grenade.
Grenade.
Watch palace. Watch palace. Watch palace.
Flashbang out.
Ballet over. Ballet over.
Flashbang. Throwing flashbang.
Throwing fire.
Don't fight, he's not planting, Don't fight.
Wait.
Throwing flashbang.
Mẹ con lợn.
Nobody killed already, fuck.
Một triple.
Be careful. Let's all make it home tonight.
I already told them, man. Palace that.
Smoking.
Laying down smoke.
One palace over again.
Top mid.
He's sting.
Nice.
One. Top mid.
Yo, what?
Don't block, dude. Oh my god.
He dead.
Today we're going to be talking $100 headphone versus a $1,600 headphone. I kind of want to talk about that progression and the price change near the conclusion. All right, so before we get started into sound, let's go ahead and talk about the build. The headbands are all different on all these. My favorite is actually the Edition XX because it is it's the lowest profile. It's kind of the most sturdy and strong feeling of the three, and it does swivel enough for, you know, meaningful head adjustments, whereas the Ananda doesn't swivel at all, and the Aria does swivel, but this headband is
khinh
more
công nhanh.
actually is the most comfortable on my particular head, but your results are going to vary. All three have a very similar pad structure, kind of this hybrid pad design where it's kind of a, you know, woven cloth material on the actual part that touches your head, a perforated leather on the inside or simulated leather, and then simulated leather on the outside. All three pads are the same. Now for me, I am going to recommend an amplifier for all three. They are all revealing enough enough. The Aria is the most revealing of them to benefit from an amplifier, and they all need a fair bit of juice to get decently loud. Now outside the headband, they're all pretty much similar. You know, the Aria
together again.
Black on black. I personally think silver on black seems
Nice.
to me, especially since all three
Can I have
a plastic
bro?
design, and it kind of looks.
What amen?
All right, so sound. Now the delivery of these three headphones, they're all fairly different. Ananda and Aria are actually differences. We'll talk about that as time goes on here. But the biggest difference of all three is actually Edition XX. It's kind of closer. Now, when I compared the Edition XX to the LCD2C, I said it was a spacious sound, and all three of these do sound spacious, but this of the three is the most loud.
Jump.
Those
Nice. Go together. Peek together. Peek together.
Bro.
Nice. What the fuck is that?
This has
Nasty, man.
When I'm saying
Nasty.
that, I want to make a distinction here. It's not like HD 600 or 650 levels of intimacy. It's not like that at all. As a headphone, separated from these, just as this headphone in its own bottle, it's a fairly spacious sound, just comparatively.
Yellow, where you pick?
Whereas on the other side,
Yeah.
kind of holographic
Okay.
sound stage, where you feel like you're kind of placed in a listening environment.
Paras.
One mid.
Headphones, the Ananda and the Aria both do that very, very well.
Bomb drop mid. One under plus, one more high mid.
It's not really like a vast amount
Fire in the
more
hole.
than the Ananda and the Aria, but what it is it's you know, it's kind of
One under part, one top
the
mid.
bass response. It's more in your face, it's more shoved towards you, and you definitely get that feeling. It feels a lot more kind of impactful
Where you going?
than the other two do. Not by like a, I don't want to make it out to seem like it's a massive margin of difference, but it is a noticeable difference. Okay,
Dude, what the
bass
fuck?
is more on this. Now, since we're already talking about bass, I guess we'll get this out. So the bass response difference here, besides that, you know, that intimate delivery, that impactful delivery, I actually think that the bass is best done on the Aria. And the reason why is because on the Aria, it almost feels separated from the music, right? It doesn't feel like it is, you know, really in your face. Low notes that are created to be low notes, like on a Hans Zimmer soundtrack, those are just amazing, and they're coming from all around you. They're surrounding you.
Last one more high mid. Nice.
And they're not super impactful in their delivery either. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no impact in the bass. There certainly is, but you don't really get this kind of slammy feeling like you can with other planar headphones. And that somewhat slammy feeling is kind of what the Edition XX gives
Come
you,
on,
although
let's
not,
get
you know,
this
nearly as
started.
much as the headphone that I compared against earlier, the 2C. That is definitely like a
Throwing
harder, more
incendiary.
immediate. It's just
It's a
a
big.
wall of sound basically for the bass response.
Throwing
This is more
smoke.
like just an all-encompassing globe. Now the Ananda comparatively, and I keep calling it the Ananda comparatively, it kind of has the same feel, but it's drier in the bass response. It doesn't have.
Your mic is not working. Shut the fuck
to
up.
It doesn't have as much lowdown. This headphone overall has kind of a more mid-range and top-end focus.
Say, I think.
Be clear, be clear.
Yeah, I think so.
Blue Karam. I watch
Yeah,
pellet.
yeah.
There's really strong benefits to
One
the
pellet.
Ananda over some of the other options.
One more, one
But as
more.
an overall category, I would say if you really
Throwing
like
fire.
Two
that
pellet,
more
bro.
in-your-face version of sound in general,
Wait, purple, you don't need to go. Wait for me.
if you're into the more
Wait for me, purple. Don't peek, don't peek.
like sound staging and dynamics and, you know, the presentation of things, I think that the Ananda,
Nice.
Wait.
sorry, the Aria had to
Palette,
separate themselves better and are definitely where you spend your money. Okay, now mid-range
Nice.
is fairly-
Amen, diffuse.
They're all somewhat similar,
Holy fuck.
especially in tonality, but where the
Thôi
addition
bạn này người chết đấy.
more, you know, intimate, closer vocals. So the vocals are
Fuck!
where the other two headphones, the Ananda and the Aria, separate themselves though is really, well, the separation of it.
Yo, I'm streaming on YouTube,
You know,
man.
the
Be
Edition
careful
XX tends to get
how
a
you
little
play.
bit lost, especially with, you know, a lot of, you know, really present music, especially when the background music is brought up in volume comparatively to the singer. I think the song that I really noticed at first was Sam Smith's Like I Can. And that song has like really loud background music, and the vocalist just gets kind of blurred out with it, and it seems like that gap between the vocalist and the background music just gets crunched into the same level of kind of two-dimensional, broad sound.
Who's one's upper?
Nice. Right.
Smoking.
Sống một lỗi đấy.
Oh,
Throwing incendiary.
Obi.
Wait.
Two shot, one side.
Địt mẹ sấy đổ lôn.
How the fuck he turns around and shoots me like this?
Mày sấy nó đeo dính. Đéo phải thì mẹ đéo hiểu mày tay chân kiểu lồn gì.
I think one aim in.
One aim in.
Orange, go away.
Deploying flashbang.
No one.
Flashbang.
Be clear.
Yeah, that's it. Palace one.
Của đây kìa.
Wait for me, yellow, please.
Đây.
Wait, sandwich.
Sandwich. Pallet.
Sandwich lá.
Sandwich.
Nice.
Told you I use DEAGLE every round, motherfucker.
Try and go.
Lock and load.
Molly.
Incendiary.
Anyone?
Laying down smoke.
Laying down smoke.
Incendiary out. Grenade out.
Deploying smoke
Throwing
shield.
flashbang.
Grenade.
Fire in the hole.
Cái địt con mẹ nó kiểu né. Con tay xích.
Wait, guys, wait, we are backstabbing.
One aim in.
Con này mệt. Tay xích. Đẩy nhanh anh, đẩy nhanh.
C4.
Just wait.
Wait.
Nice.
Bật cáu. Không, nhưng mà đẩy nhanh ngoắc nhanh lên ý.
Let's go, fellas.
Không phải chắc.
Flashbang out.
Smoke.
Mid rồi.
One more.
Chưa lâu.
Throwing flashbang.
Throwing fire.
Chưa biết đồ lâu.
Oh, my bad.
Địt mẹ, đấy ra mà lâu là lâu.
Flashbang.
Một thằng ăn được patch của đấy. Đoạn đợi.
Throwing flashbang.
Yo, orange.
Yo, bi.
Truck.
Throwing smoke.
Behind the site.
Ban.
Nice, bro.
Cho em khẩu súng Linh à. Bắn cáu thật toàn bắn yếu. Ý, mẹ.
Incendiary out.
Throwing smoke. Flashbang.
Deploying smoke shield.
Kìa, rush B.
Throwing fire.
Ăn được patch.
Deploying flashbang.
Ăn được patch lâu.
Grenade out.
Throwing a grenade.
Ăn được patch lâu. Muốn ăn được patch anh ơi.
Blue, stay A.
Oh my god.
Start up.
Down step. Side.
Ben. Nhà giàu.
Are we rushing in? Or are we going sneaky beaky like?
Molotov.
Flashbang.
Throwing flashbang.
Okay,
Laying down smoke.
Laying down smoke.
I want pellet.
Throwing smoke. Incendiary.
You want balance, bro?
Deploying flashbang. Throwing flashbang. Flashbang. Throwing fire.
I think it's B.
Yeah, I was B.
Contact.
B up one.
The patch there.
Low. He's low. He's going back to B, dude. One stay A.
No one up B.
Stay.
Share the patch.
It's A, guys. A.
Throwing fire.
Đây. Bánh.
Flashbang out.
Good job, man.
Wanna play next, guys?
Whereas the Ananda and the Arias tend to separate themselves a little bit better. Well, actually quite a bit better, especially the Aria, but you know, $1,600. But we'll talk about that in a sec. Now, to the benefit of both the Ananda and the Aria, what they are able to do is kind of give you that embodiment of the singer's kind of involvement in the listening environment. So you can really feel like the singer is, you know, literally a person just standing in an environment where you have the background music. It's very easy to visualize that sound. And for me, as a person who likes vocals, Sometimes I like the more intimate nature of something like an HD6XX or the intimate nature of an LCD2C. But other times, especially when I really want to, like, if I want to hear everything, I really want that kind of visualizable separation that the Ananda and the Aria give you. So treble response, and this is really where the Ananda kind of takes over and steps up a little bit, because it's the most treble, I wouldn't say intense. Like certain people, yeah, of course they're gonna find it a little bit too bright. I find this to be the most shiny of the treble response of the three. Now, I'm specifically saying shiny. I'm not saying the best treble. I think the Aria definitely has the best treble here in terms of the way it's able to deliver with a smooth characteristic, yet in a way that's detailed beyond the capability of both of these by a mile. But because of the kind of shiny, sweeter characteristic of the Ananda, this actually and the spaciousness nature of it, this makes for great orchestral music, especially when you're talking about horns or strings. So if you're somebody who listens to symphonies and you want all the little, like, the spacious characteristics of a symphony, but you don't want something like HD800s, which are going to be kind of piercing in some categories, this is actually a really, really good option for that. I personally love the orchestral soundtracks on this, even in certain cases more than the Aria, and in almost every case more than the Edition XX for that specific genre and style of music. Now, treble response in the Edition XX is certainly not bad. I wouldn't call it class leading though. I would say that for the $600-ish price category, the HD660s and the DT1990s both do treble response better than this does, but it's certainly not bad. It's just not the top of the heap at its price category. And it does have a fair amount of resolution there, but not a substantial amount, not a, you know, a class leading amount at all. But what does have a class leading amount of detail in the treble response and resolution in the treble response is the Aria. And this is really the separating factor for the treble. Of all three of these headphones, this does treble the best for my preferences. And the reason why is because it's a soft delivery in terms of the, you know, the harshness of it. Like, it doesn't really seem to have a lot of treble harshness, even in things that are incredibly crisp or clear, like the chimes in the Daft Punk Random Access Memory album that I bring that up a lot, but it's good to have a reoccurring reference, I think. You know, those are more, you know, sharp and not painfully sharp, but just they're more attentive sounding on the Ananda, but they're so much more pleasing on the Aria. And the reason why is because even though it's not as present in that region as the Ananda is, the underlying detail, the underlying information there is just so much more. And you know, this really leads us into the imaging and the soundstage category in a sec, but I want to focus on this for just a minute. But a little bit of a spoiler, it's mainly just because of how easily you can place it in the room and how easily you can place it in the mix and how well separated and almost disconnected it feels. For me, the Aria is kind of like listening to almost like three different pairs of headphones, right? You've got a bass headphone that all it does is producing bass, and it's producing bass in this all-encompassing way. You've got this mid-range that is, you know, only the singer's voice, and that's it, right? Or only the guitar, or only this, or only that. And then you have the high notes, which are separated even more, and, you know, the background instruments and the sound staging is handled by that third headphone, so to speak. And it's that separation is literally that clear to me, where it's almost like it's being handled by different things. It's such a unique experience. And the Ananda does a pretty good job of kind of trying to emulate that in a way. It does kind of, in certain songs, especially really well recorded songs, like some of Diana Krall's work, they're just, like, this thing does really a spectacular job for somewhat sounding like that. It just doesn't have that extra level of refinement. And this is, in my opinion, the most notable in the treble response in how it approaches you. You know, the treble is more attentive on here, like I said, but it just doesn't have the kind of clear-cut characteristic of the Aria. Okay, so imaging and soundstage, and this is going to be a big toss-up of preference. I will say for technical purposes, the XX is the most intimate, like I said. This is kind of in the middle in terms of intimacy and in terms of width, and then the Aria is going to be the widest, but it also has this weird characteristic, and the only other headphone that I can really compare it to are some of the electrostats, where it's almost like the vocalist is intimate, but like not in a normal way. The vocalist is, you know, it's that classic example of like, there's vocals that are happening in front of you, and then there's vocalists where you kind of all like, what the addition is like, it feels like you are, you are in the microphone, and the audio sounds like, it's kind of happening. And it's like stage. So the XX is and the Aria and the Ananda sound it is very good, but it almost feels like the Ananda is kind of like a knockoff version of that soundstage, of that separation, of that dynamics. And I think that leads us into the conclusion. That's basically how it goes. Yeah, it goes with the price. The Edition XX, that's a good price. I think it's a fair headphone at that price point. We've got a little bit better, but somewhat picky in terms of what you want to listen to on it, but very good at what it does do well, which is going to be the Ananda. And then you have like the beast, right? The headphone that I call the best headphone I've reviewed so far, and that's old street. Down below, but you have the Aria at $1,600. And this is where the discussion of value comes up. And, it's kind of really similar to a lot of the conclusions that I've come to before. And it will be this similar to, if you're going for value, I think it's really between the Ananda and the Edition XX, and just based off of your preference. But if you want to pay double, literally you can buy both and still have $200 left over, you could get the Aria. And the Aria is just, it's sound refined. It makes these other two look like I don't mean that super hard, but now when it comes to the discussion of whether that's worth it, from a pure value perspective, no, it definitely isn't. But if you want the best performer you can get, king of value, all three of these headphones are amazing options. Links to everything that I talked about in the description down below. Can you go wrong with any of these? In my opinion, no, not really. They're all really great. You just really want to know what they do and which ones you're going to appreciate more depending on what you like. Again, links are down below. Consider supporting me on Patreon. It does take a long time to put these videos together and do all the B-roll for it. So I appreciate you patrons. You guys kick ass. And I do have a special project going on over there. So if you want early access to that project, there's a link down below. All right. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your time. My name's Josh, signing off.
Let's shake.
Thank you very much, Rob. You kick some ass, buddy. Okay, so first we're going to be talking about the build, and the build is a bit of a Frankenstein device. Of the headphones with this ear shape, this is actually my favorite build, and I'm going to explain why. But first, some just general bits about it. So the ear cups themselves, including these, this grill here, it's all plastic. So it does kind of have a plasticky feel. You can kind of hear it crackling whenever you put a little bit of pressure on it. The ear pads are an actual ear shape, which I love this style of ear cup from Heifman. I find it incredibly comfortable. Not everybody does, but I love it. The ear pads are kind of the standard kind of a hybrid pad where they're pleather on the outside, cloth on the part that actually touches your head, and then a perforated leather on the inside. And this ear shape is shared by other high-end headphones from Heifman, like the HE1000, the Edition X, the Aria, and the Ananda, which I will actually have a comparison with the Aria and the Ananda against this headphone in a future video, so subscribe if you're not already. Now, while it does share some of the DNA from those higher end headphones, it also shares a little bit of DNA from lower end headphones, like the Heifman HE4XX. Pretty much identical, just rebranded for the Edition XX versus the 4XX. Now, this is actually the reason why I like this more than the HE1000 XX, or the HE1000, the Aria, the Ananda, the Edition X, all of those. I actually like the one the most because of this headband. The clamp force of it is a little bit stronger, and these metal ear brackets here are made of metal, And for this specific headband, it actually fits my head perfectly. Not everybody is going to like it. It's not going to fit everybody's heads. I think because of the shape of it, it may not be exactly comfortable on the top or the sides of everybody's head. For me, it is really comfortable, and for me, it's a preferred option, but not everybody's going to appreciate it. So if you've tried the 4XX and don't like the fit, this fits just about identical, just a slightly different pad feel. Now, real quick, speaking of that, I do want to shout out again these little knit pads. A friend of the show, Matt, actually kind of caught my eye to these knit pads, and they basically snap on top of the headband. I know that some people were having size issues with the 4XX, and these ear cups are actually a little bit higher up than they are on the Edition XX, and the Edition XX actually fits a little bit lower. So if you need a bit of extra height, this headband is going to be perfect for that. And it's a little bit more comfortable even still than the stock headband, even for me. So regarding the actual feel of the build, because of this headband, it just feels more premium, in my opinion, than the higher end actual premium versions of this, which I guess works out. The ear pads are detachable and they're very large, as you can see, but they are proprietary towards the system. And you know, if you take a look inside and look at the driver, you can see that, you know, this isn't as premium as some of their higher lines, but at this price range, it is to be expected. It still looks good, but you know, they're using glue that's a little less pretty, and it doesn't have a kind of a phaser array that something like the Aria has. Now, regarding some of the specs of this device, it is a 20 ohm headphone, but it does have a sensitivity level of 93 decibels, which is on the lower end of sensitivity, which basically translates to an amplifier is recommended. You will want to push a little bit of juice in here. A lot of people are going to see the 20 ohm impedance and kind of think that's pretty low, and it is, but that sensitivity level basically dictates how loud you are going to get given a certain amount of power, and that means that you are going to want to push a little bit of juice in here. Now, speaking of amplification, this headphone was actually tested on a Topping DX7S, a Mayflower Arc, a Mayflower O2 amplifier, and of course my trusty THX AAA 789. It does respond pretty okay to most of those amplifiers. I would say the only one that wasn't, that seemed to have a little bit of issues with the S range, actually. The S range seemed to be brought up a little bit more, was the Topping DX7S. That might have something to do with the output impedance of the Topping or something like that. But all tested except for the Mayflowers. It was tested out of the balance option. The balance cable does not come with this. The one I was using on here was from Periopt. Huge shout out to Periopt for providing the cable that fits on here. So for amp pairing, I'm going to say it's going to be okay for almost everything that you have. Even on the DX7S, I noticed a little bit of change, but I didn't really think it was like a big problem. It didn't really seem to affect the bass response that much. It didn't really seem to affect the spatial capability or the dynamics that much. It was more just a little bit of kind of a boost in the slightly higher vocal frequencies, which to me for this specific headphone wasn't a massive problem. All right, so regarding the sound, the simplest way I can put this, and the way that I think makes the most sense and is going to be applicable to the most amount of people, is it's kind of like the big boy mature version of the HE4XX. If you think of it as like an upgrade path, of like, hey, if you've got this headphone, you like this headphone, but you want to the next level, this is the next level to that. And there's a couple reasons why. I will compare directly in just a second, but for now, let's just talk about this headphone in the bottle and how it sounds. Starting off with treble, the treble is good for the price range. It's not great, it's not class leading, it's also not as forward as some other Heifmans like the Sundara, for example. The Sundara I actually consider to be a kind of a bit more detailed than the treble is on here. The treble here is slightly recessed comparatively, but that slightly smoother characteristic, it kind of actually reminds me a little bit of an LCD2C. Now in the $600 price area, if you go down a little bit to the 1990s, I think the 1990s beat it out for treble. If you go up a little bit to the LX, I think the LX also beats it out for treble. So that's going to be one of the downsides, although you may appreciate slightly lower level of distance going in at. There is actually a little bit of a peak. I haven't tested this and I haven't looked at any frequency response graphs, but I want to say it's probably around the 8 to 10K area. There's just a little bit of a hike there. It's certainly not to an unpleasing or overly shouty degree, but it is kind of a little bit like, all right, there's a little bit of hotness there, but not a ton. It's definitely not sibilant or anything like that. Mid-range is very pleasing because of how forward this headphone is, and it is a very forward kind of all-encompassing in your head type of sound, which I gotta be honest, when I came into this after hearing the Aria, I thought this is going to be a very wide sound. It's not at all. I was hoping, personally, I was hoping that this is going to be like a, you know, like 90% of an Aria for $600, but it's not. It's just not the same caliber. It's not the same type of sound. Certainly not the same delivery. But that doesn't inherently mean that it's bad. It's just different. So the lower end of the mid-range is pretty girthy, and it has a good amount of body, and it definitely has a bit of kind of lusciousness to the sound there. Now, when you get to the upper end of the mid-range, it's odd. It can actually sometimes feel a little bit like I know when I talk about timbre, everybody freaks out, but the timbre characteristics of instruments and vocalists actually kind of get somewhat closed down and pinched into the same general type of sound in the very upper end of the mid-range going into the lower treble frequencies. I was listening to John Legend, and then I switched to Sam Smith, but those two vocalists who I don't really think sound anything alike, in certain areas of their upper singing frequencies kind of get pinched and sound quite similar, and they just didn't seem very separated, which is kind of interesting. Now, the other aspect to the vocals, which overall, I'm going to focus on a couple negatives here, but overall, in terms of the vocals, I actually really do like the vocal performance on here. For vocalists that can't sing perfectly, it is a little punishing, because it can really tell you when something is just not, when they're not singing quite correct. They can pick that up very easily. But one of the other aspects of the vocals and the kind of the downside to how this delivers sound is that really busy vocal songs that, and by busy I mean things where the background music is brought up a little bit in volume, the vocals tend to lose any kind of isolated characteristics, and you don't really feel like you're listening to a vocalist separated from the background. You kind of just feel like the vocalist gets, you know, sucked into the background almost. A good example of this, to bring up Sam Smith again, is, I believe the song is called Like I Can. That song on a really good headphone can keep the separation. As busy as the background gets and as loud as the background music gets, it can still separate. This loses that separation a little bit. But in, you know, 9 out of 10 circumstances, that's not really an issue. It's just with, you know, that one song that happens to be mixed that particular way, just didn't sound very good. For separation, of course. Tonally, it was all great. You know, it was all good there. Now, bass response. Depending on which side of the fence you sit on, you know, for a planar, it's got good amount of bass. It's got a good amount of meat on its bones, but it doesn't quite hit as low and as hard as certain other planars. Now, for the Sundara or the 4XX, for example, it's got more than that, and it does, you know, there's a little bit of a slope, kind of slopes up to about 100. And then 100 to 120 is about the highest that the bass gets. But the slope down is very gradual, kind of like the Sundara, except the Sundara is a little bit steeper. This is a little bit more, it doesn't kind of roll like that. It's more just a flat, you know, kind of straight line downwards. Whereas the 4XX, for example, does kind of start to roll a little bit. So where I'd place this is, like, if you're a self-described bass head, like if you really dig bass, you're probably gonna want to look somewhere else. If you like kind of bass being mixed in with the rest of your music in a pretty balanced way, this is a good option. It's not the best in terms of bass response in this price range, but it is good. So imaging and soundstage is, those are two more weak points of this headphone. The imaging, it gets beat out by quite a large margin from something like the DT1990s, which had their own benefits and drawbacks, but in terms of imaging, they kick this thing's ass. Sound staging is also fairly weak. It doesn't really extend beyond the boundary of the headphone very well. It's not super great for that either. So you're kind of getting, you know, not everybody likes a super three-dimensional sound. Some people are okay with the more limiting sound staging capabilities that this offers. But the sound is a little bit two-dimensional. It doesn't, you know, extend super far out compared to other $500 to $1,000 options. Now, one thing that was really good, and I actually didn't notice this until I was actually gaming, is right and left orientation seem to be stronger than most other headphones. It seems to be able to kind of tell you, like, if something is left, you really know it, and if something is right, you really know it. But it's not far, it's just, you know, hard right, hard left, and then kind of your center, you know, ball of sound. All right, so before the conclusion, let's talk about a couple comparisons here. So I said before that it was basically like a grown-up version of the 4XX, or like the Big Brother or something like that. I really think that's the best way to describe this. Short of soundstage, everything about this headphone, this just does a little bit better. The bass response is a little bit higher. The mid-range is a little bit sweeter and richer and a little bit more forward. The treble response is, there's dips and peaks on both, but the treble response I would say is a little bit more even and a little bit more complete on the Edition XX. Now, when you're talking about similar sound signatures to this, you know, if you're taking the law of diminishing,
So you're going to get roughly 60 hours of battery life before you
Go. So we can win this, but your plan really stupid.
Mid.
Nah, mana?
Middle.
Ya.
Nice. Mau apa nih? Mau apa aja?
Lo pakai aja.
Gua nggak bisa yang bengkok kan.
Oh ya udah sini.
Smoke. Incendiary. Throwing fire. Flashbang. Flashbang.
Nice.
Throwing fire.
That's called air ram dude.
Masih ada di tiram nih. Jelek-jelek.
Nice. I think one more.
Alright.
Dead.
One more.
Closing.
Flashbang.
Gimana sih?
Di A.
Change. Lah, bilang gua kira AK nih. Can change, AK, please, AK. Thank you, bro. You're very handsome.
Go.
Frankly. Woi, yellow.
Throwing flashbang.
Yellow. M4. Yellow M4. Yellow M4.
Kamu dia.
Okay, I'm low. Ah, idiot. I drop your M4, you. Bego emang.
2 mid, 2 mid.
Okay.
Anjing. Kaget gua. Middle. Heaven middle. Nice. Ambil AK dong. Oh, AWP aja, AWP deh.
Nggak, gua bisa tahu deh.
Oke. Gua beliin AWP. Ya AK-nya sini. Ini si Yellow gua kasih M4 nggak mau nih M4.
Just dia gak patut lah.
Koi. Blue.
Oh oke.
Hey!
Ya coming. Chill.
Asli nih lo.
Alah.
What? Set back one.
Santai. Nice. Nice try. Yo, yellow.
Lu banyak duit ya, gila lah. Mantap
Butuh
banget.
anjing.
Yellow is your friend, man. Why not? Why you don't want to communicate?
Stay here and cry.
Oh, stay here and play, okay.
Nice, bro.
Oh, fuck. Two more mid, one low.
I got A.
No one here.
Loaded.
Yes. Last A, go.
What? Akan banyak. Yolo is always by DEAGLE, man.
Molotov. Throwing fire. Throwing flashbang.
Non A, I think.
Laying down smoke.
Non A.
Grenade.
I will be.
Okay.
No one B. Chill.
Middle. I'm here.
Smoke. Incendiary. Flashbang.
Wah, anjing, itu biram. Satu doang.
Molotov. Grenade out. Deploying flashbang.
On me.
Oh my god!
Hey, report for me. It's a planting. Rush it. Go away. You go first. I don't know his map.
Okay, just
I will follow
just
you.
follow purple.
Let's go.
He lead the way.
Come.
He come. Walk nggak?
Enggak, lari aja.
Ya udah, go, just rush. Rap them like a bitch.
On B.
Mati kayaknya.
Oh my god, I told you go away, why go mid? Oh my god. Ngeyel anjing orang Vietnam.
Emang ngentot anjing. Dua mamai.
Just fucking rush A all the time.
Lawan kita Indo 3 tuh. Ajak gabung aja apa?
Apa?
Lawan kita Indo 3.
Mr. Rahim, music.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Ya udah aja. Maybe.
Padahal nggak ada temen.
Oh. Turn back.
Alah anjing.
Fire in the hole. Throwing smoke. Terrorists win. Hit it.
Go again. Oh, never mind.
Grenade. Throwing fire. Terrorists win.
Fucking toxic.
Simply defeat the enemy, that is all I ask. I'm throwing smoke. Throwing a flashback.
Flashing.
Throwing a flashbang.
sabar.
Throwing flashbang. Throwing a flashbang. Throwing flashbang.
Wait. Wait. Anjing mati juga. Aduh ngentit lah. Itu di apa? Di TBS ya? Di City. Dari City satu. Kiri lu. Nah, itu ini namanya apa? Ibu nggak tahu. Mereka ngampusnya sih tadi.
Siapa?
Gue lagi ngobrol sama bini gue, nggak konsen.
Ya,
udah gue sumpah pakai kos sakit tenang.
So that may be free.
Udah tuh gamenya bisa menang di throw kayak gini aja anjing.
Enggak bisa menang.
Flashbang.
Stop fucking flashing in front of me, you piece of shit. You fucking piece of shit. Anjing gak mood lagi dah gua mainnya kayak gini anjing.
Sabar.
Tolol anjing, kesel banget.
Sabar. Bisa.
Gak bisa lagi nih, ini tolol banget gila. Kesel banget.
Anjing. Open. Gobi.
Ya.
Ya, Headphone-out. Lampir. Sini.
Ngomong.
Don't pick. Just don't pick.
We lost.
Nice. Mau apa enggak?
Hah?
Enggak.
Boleh.
Let's get in and get out. Flashback.
Care middle.
Throwing flashbang.
Janganlah lewat middle nggak kuat ya.
Throwing a flashbang. I'm laying down some smoke.
Asli. Tolol.
One more, please.
Enggak from A.
Oh my god. Gobi. Bomb in B. City bro. Depan lu.
Chu.
Plan. Nice. Plan buat lu. It's okay. Nice try. Push. Anjing nggak mati dong itu.
Throwing fire.
Bomb is in middle.
Smoke.
What the fuck? Man. Miso dong dia. Anjir.
Frustasi banget gua, gila.
Hah? Ini Vietnamnya ternyata solo semua. No. You said so rude. Aduh anjing salah beli lagi bangsat.
Go.
Shit the fuck up.
Throwing a flashbang. Flashbang. I'm laying down. I'm setting the bomb.
Mama.
Go blue, you fucking noob.
Aduh anjing.
Flashbang.
Itu udah ada city. Oh city. One more. Ya jatuh.
Reload noob.
Ah mama.
You're fucking throwing, you piece of shit. You play so well. You fucking throw it. Yeah.
Yang mana yang throw?
This level 5, guys. You don't know this map, but you can see the map in right there in your corner.
Throwing flashbang.
Well, shit. That is why you fucking throw.
Throwing a flashbang.
Wow.
I'm throwing smoke. Flashbang. I'm throwing a
Bomnya tinggal lagi.
Oh my god. 1v3 situation.
It's better than you.
No. He know this map, that's why.
He don't know this map.
Guys, this level 5 is 6.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So sorry, man.
Listen, you
So sorry, bro. I don't know this map.
Level 5.
I am fake level 5, my friend. I get carry every round, you know?
Really?
Yeah, man. I admit that.
Nice, never
I don't know this map, I just rush around, okay?
Okay, bro.
You don't know the map. You need to stay behind me and try.
Okay, I follow you, I follow you.
No, he need to follow me and try.
I follow you, I follow you.
Fuck you. Mid push.
Doesn't matter, we just go.
Mid push. They eco. Mid push. Just flat.
Can be behind.
Go B left. Mid push. Going to be.
B1.
B. Biram. Just don't pick lah.
Oh, nice.
Mau apa enggak?
Boleh.
We should play another time, bro. We play this map again.
Untuk flash to your friend.
Go B.
Go B. Oh, wait, go B. Beware B.
But your flash.
Oh, B.
Your flash is good, man. Flash ke teman si anjing.
Let's go A, guys. Let's go A, guys.
Why you flash to me, man?
I don't know, bro. I missed the flash.
Jaga bilang trolling anjing.
Ngentot anjing.
Take a gun. Go A, guys.
Go. Green, go. Take the bomb lah, green. Nice flash lagi.
Oh, fuck. Plan A, go A. Crazy people.
Throwing flashbang.
Plan. Faster, go A. No, this way, the other way. Don't. Oh my god. Behind you. Faster, go A, fast.
Plan for you, plan. In default.
Yeah, that's how you do it, bro. Nice.
Let's go. Go. Flashbang. Throwing
Middle.
Oh my god, I'm dropped. Oh, they stack B, guys.
Oh my god.
Go ahead, I think me.
Whatever.
Go ahead, I think me.
Where the bro?
Decoys out. Throwing flashbang. Throwing a flashbang.
Don't flash to your friend. Fuck. Yellow, don't flash to your friend lah. Anjing.
Oh, we need to go together, bro.
Yeah, but don't flash to your friend. You
I
flash to me.
flashed wrong, dude.
You level 5, really?
I got carried.
Anjing.
Why you choose this map?
No. Because you.
Well, why me?
Yeah, you said what in the chat room.
Throwing flashbang.
See you idiot!
Oh my god.
Ah, fucking. You fake level 5, man, idiot. You buy it now, huh?
Udah throw aja game.
Ngentot gua dikasih, gua di flash terus anjing.
Udah iya, gua juga kayak gitu.
I didn't flash at you, bro. I flashed the other way, man. You look at it.
You fake level 5, man. Go to level 1 lah.
No, I'm very good. Not this map.
You're very good, yeah.
Not this
very
map.
Good. Very good to flash your friend, idiot.
Not this map, dude.
We got this.
Level 5 should be know all the map, man.
Flashbang.
Help me, nobody here? Why you don't follow help your teammate, man? Wow.
Throwing flashbang. Throwing smoke.
Use the smoke again. Flash, use the smoke, use the smoke.
Yeah.
We have smoke.
Alright guys, so welcome back to a brand new video. So first, you're probably thinking, who's Clear? I've never heard of this company. This is probably some knockoff company that's trying to compete with Bose and Sony, and there's no way that they can. First off, let me say, give them a chance. Okay, first off, to start with, the hard case that's in here is really nice, and it goes along with the traveling headphones, the ones that have the thinner, smaller cases. It also has the layout to where you kind of angle or fold these a certain way to get them to fit in, but also you get an airline adapter. You have the, if you want.
Hi guys, what do you use? And actually, it feels as if when you're putting it on your head, it actually stays in place, and it uses the force outwards to ensure that this stays in place. So if there's pressure going this way, it's harder to pull it, but if there's no pressure, it's very easy and smooth. So that's a really cool design. And then there's also there's cup swivel and tilt. It doesn't go all the way around, and it doesn't tilt all the way around either, but there's certainly enough to get it to be reasonably comfortable on your head, or fit in a reasonable position. The drivers in here are also pretty unique. They're using what they call an ironless system. Now if you look at the design of their driver and their marketing materials, it looks to be a very similar type of driver structure to the formless drivers from Focal with the surround and composite system. So it is already a little bit different from traditional dynamic driver headphones. Certainly it's different from some of the Sennheisers, but also different from the Beyerdynamics out there. I gotta say that the build quality and design here is pretty interesting. However, the comfort still leaves a little bit to be desired. This is a 400-gram headphone, roughly. And while this does use a fairly wide headband, which is nice, it's really not the most comfortable after a few hours. And thankfully, there's not a ton of extra clamping force to create pressure on the sides of your head with this one. It feels like they got that just right. So overall, for the design, I actually think it's pretty good, but I almost feel like too much attention was given to the wrong things here. It feels like there was a lot of emphasis put into making sure that this was super smooth, this system, when in reality, when it's in the right position for your head, you don't really need to change it that much. So making this a smooth action, I don't understand the point there, other than it just feels cool to do. And then on top of it, they actually use these LEMO, L-E-M-O connectors, which for the connector here on the cup. While it is a design that other headphones use, like for example Utopia uses it, in my opinion it's unnecessary for a headphone that comes in at around $700. It's fine that they paid attention to this kind of stuff, but in my mind I wish that more resources were put towards ensuring that the sound was really, really good. It makes me wonder why so much attention was given to these other non-sound related areas for this headphone. And then on top of it, it looks like this is the most robust looking termination for a cable I've ever seen. It's a 3.5mm with this 1/4 inch on top, but man, if this isn't ever thick and robust and heavy too. So it feels solid, that's great, but it also feels like, was this necessary? I'll let you guys be the judge on that. All this effort was given to making sure that the design was beautiful for everything else, and they put the best, crazy quality connectors on there, and then the cable is just this sort of basic standard looking cable. It's not really a problem in my mind, it's an interesting choice, and one that kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. So let's talk about how it sounds. The technical performance of this headphone is good in some areas and average in others. For detail retrieval, it's actually pretty good for the most part, for a lot of the frequency response. Not so much in the bass, and we'll talk about that with the tonality. But in general, I find that it gets, for my test tracks at least, it gets fairly close to the kind of engagement and detail that I like. Maybe not quite as good as some of my benchmark headphones for the price categories. I wouldn't say this is a new benchmark or anything for detail, but it certainly does well enough on my test tracks that I'd have nothing to complain about there. For speed, this is also an interesting one because it does feel about middle of the road for a dynamic driver headphone. It's certainly not as fast as some planars. And it feels like the punch is there sometimes, but not there at other times.
Throwing a flashbang.
Info guys. The fuck? Backside.
We will drive them from
Hello, 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 hello. Oh, hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Is it my okay? Yeah, we can hear it.
terrorists win.
Connector. No. Connector. Bro, we lose bro if play like this. Stay up, bro.
Look at this shit, motherfucker. Just save.
Counter-terrorists win.
Low.
That's the ball, dude.
Low.
Planting.
That's it.
They will remember us after today. Smoke! Throwing flashback. I'm throwing flashback. Throwing fire. Throwing fire. I'm throwing Throwing flashback. I am planting the bomb.
Correct.
We will make them cry. I'm throwing smoke. Smoke! Flashback. I'm throwing flashback. Throwing fire.
One shot.
I'm throwing smoke. Grenade out.
One app.
Go B. Go B, plant the bomb fast.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Last two again. One upper, one sample. No, both sample. Nice, bro. Don't drop me, man. I don't need guns, bro.
Throwing a flashback. Smoke. I'm throwing flashback. Smoke. Flashback.
No, fuck you, bro. Jungle AK, bro. What the fuck? T-base, CT-base. KCT, bro. Short.
Activating the bomb.
Stay the same way though. Dude, are you fucking muted?
We will defeat the Mercenaries. Thanks. Throwing a flashback. Throwing flashback.
Two shot. Go. Two shot.
Flashback.
Two shot, dude.
Side now. Shot. Oh.
You have no smoke. Faster, dude. Go, 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 go. Kill, 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 kill.
Bench.
Nice. Plant the bomb. Go market. Someone go market. Nice, bro.
One BS.
Last guy. No, no, no. Nice.
Let us go. I'm throwing smoke. I'm throwing flashbang.
Help, help, help.
Yuri. Flashing bro, flashing. Stab.
Shot. Kill him. Is he go? He go. Kill him. Oh my god.
Got her now.
Good job, bro.
Let's go, my brothers.
Go away, go away, go away.
Under. One CD, one. I'm in one.
One side.
Start. Nice clutch.
Thank you. Let's go. Smoke.
Jungle.
Throw a nade in jungle. Someone throw a nade. One more. Market coming. Jungle. Market going jungle.
I mean set B.
Planting. Bomb has been planted.
Short.
Terrorists win.
Again, I drop.
Let's go, let's go. Decoy. Molotov. Throwing a flashback. Flashback.
T-shot under. Okay, underpass.
Grenade.
Underpass upper. Under upper.
I'm throwing a flashbang. Terrorists win.
I go A, I go A.
3B, 3B.
Yes. Come on, let's go.
Go 3B.
A, A.
Fire.
One jungle, one jungle.
City.
Terrorists win.
City.
Move out. Decoy. Smoke. Laying down smoke. Bomb site B.
One backside. Bench.
Bench.
Bomb has been planted.
Bench. Side.
Terrorists win. Anyone else here for the tickle party? Laying down smelling.
One A mag, one A mag.
Oh, look at this guy. Fucking.
MM1.
A short, A short, B short, B short.
One coming.
Nice. Nice.
Throwing grenade. Throwing fire.
Smoke CT, dude.
Oh my god.
I go mid.
Let's go.
I'm all in.
One Nahimic.
Fuck up. One mid.
Throwing flashbang. Down slowly.
B, B,
Shot.
B, 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 B. Planning B.
我知道，我知道。
Nuts.
Market one.
Market one.
Bomb drop, bomb drop.
Nice.
Let's go. Molotov. Laying down smoke.
B, 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 B.
B, 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 B.
Underpass maybe.
Through, you stay. Under one, dead. Low one mà, low one mà. Run. Two under. One more.
What the fuck? He got a shotgun.
Deploying flashbang.
What's the bomb?
He got the bomb. Planting, B, 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 B.
Affirmative.
Go kill now. Oh my god, he's lagging. Oh wait.
Nice.
He glitch, bro.
Remember, this isn't the killing house anymore. This is real life. Throwing fire. Smoke. Throwing flashbang. Throwing smoke.
Underpass.
Lower
B,
middle.
B, 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 underpass.
Okay.
Throwing flashbang. Throwing a grenade.
Connect that. One middle now. Sky mid.
Roger that.
Mid, kill him.
đầu mũ, biết đầu mũ. Lâu biết đầu.
Under B under one.
Ramp.
No. A set.
Say.
One pass. PA. One damage.
Shoot, touch.
Shoot the smoke, shoot. Oh shit, one shot.
Con.
Ôi chạy coi. I go away.